Alright gang, we're going to check the compression on the existing Courage to see what kind of compression numbers it's pushing. Then I'm going to grab my Borescope, stick my Borescope in the cylinder and see what things look like in there. If things look good enough, I'm going to leave the engine in until it grenades itself. I'm going to go ahead and do an oil change. The reason behind it is I want to get this back to the owner so that he can mow with it. I'm going to pull the carburetor, clean the carburetor out and do all that, but I need to order a crankcase gasket for that. Where I thought it was leaking at the oil fill, it is not where it's leaking. It's actually leaking right out of here, right out of this gasket. We're dry up here. You can see it's wet down there and wet there. So I'm going to put this one in there at some point, but right now I don't want to send it off to him with a bad crankcase gasket. It's just another one of those things. Something else, just something else to get in the way. But that's all okay. We're gonna pull the hood off, pull the spark plug, stick a compression tester in there, see what we got for compression, then we'll go from there. Alright, first things first, let me take a look at the plug. The plug actually looks really good. No oil on it, nothing like that. I do know the engine still runs because he wrote it down here. Got the compression tester hooked up. We have it at wide open throttle so that it's pulling all of the air in that it needs to pull in without restriction. And we will have a compression release, so what I'm looking for is anything above 90. There we go. See what we get. And there we go. We have 100, right at 100 psi. And like I say, with the compression release, I'm good with that. I'm fine with that. So now off camera, because it's a real big pain, I'm going to get the Borescope out, take a look at the cylinder. If I find anything suspect, I will do my level best to show you what I find. So, be right back. Now we're getting everything set up here. We've got to let this tablet finish doing its updates, and then we'll plug in the Borescope. But in the meantime, I'm going to yank the carburetor off, take it apart, and bring it over here and stick it in the freshly cleaned up parts washer so that can be doing its thing while I am checking out the bore on the engine. So let's get that off of there. You guys want to see how it comes off of the Courage? Give me a second, I'll get things set up, take you along for the ride. Alright, on the Kohler Courage, you have, after you get the air cleaner and all that stuff off, which obviously it's already off, a couple of thumb nuts and get the air filter off and everything, you'll have over here, just out of sight, your crankcase vent tube, which just sticks into a hole that's already provided here. Alright, then you have two 10mm bolts, one out of view, one in, or nuts rather, and then one 10mm bolt right down here at the top of your screen. Okay, you'll take that one out, and these two you'll drop them in a cute little parts tray and stick them somewhere. You should be able to just pull this off just like that. Okay, and this tube right here that's attached to the back of the air box just goes up to the gas tank. It's a vapor and fuel return. Then we have our fuel line. We'll get our pliers and our fuel line pinchers. clamp the fuel line off, get the clip off. We'll come back with hose line pliers. Get on there and give it a little twist to break it loose. Hold the carburetor still and just work it off of there. There we go. Fuel line out of the way. Now we have two linkages. We have our choke linkage right here and our throttle linkage back here. Let's take a look. Kohler likes to use little clips here and there. See if this has got a clip. That one does. Okay, where I'm at, and it's kind of hard to see. Let's get a flashlight. Flashlight to the rescue. At the end of the throttle rod, right up in there, is just a little black clip. You just pop that up and it allows you to slide that throttle linkage out. Then you can pull the carburetor off without taking the choke linkage off. You can pop the choke linkage after. That sounded good. Choke linkage after you get the throttle linkage off. So I'm just going to reach up in there and pop that off. And I might show you guys something that's coming up as far as the repair goes. Sitting just outside the door. In fact, it made it hard for me to get the rest of my tractors out of here. Okay, let's see. How's our gasket? Our gasket's coming with it. And we have our... Oh, that's wrapped around. That's interesting. Well, alrighty then. We'll clip that zip tie. Maybe. There we go. Clip that zip tie off. The wires for the fuel solenoid are wrapped around the base of the anti-backfire solenoid. Whoa, and it's hot. I must have left the key on. Yep, I left the key on. And that shouldn't get hot. Oh, and here we go with another one of these that you have to pull the studs out. I don't think these studs... That's kind of weird right there. Why is that so floppy? I guess we'll both find out at the same time, or we'll all find out at the same time. I'm going to back that one out so that I can rotate the carburetor and get it off. And easy way to do that is take the two 10mm nuts that were originally on there, put them back on, and lock them together, and then use them to your advantage to back out that stud. Get a couple of 10mm here. 1, 2. Okay. Just get two, whatever size it is. In this case, it's 10mm, and lock them together. Tighten them down real good. And once you do that, you can come over here and simply back out the stud. We've got it loose. We'll go the easy way. Here we go. Pull the stud out. Comes out nice and easy. And we can turn the carburetor. I really don't know why that one's loose like that. I don't think it should be. I mean, well, maybe it is. Who knows? Pop it up and over, and we can get it out. So, carburetor off. Get this wire away. Go away. Thank you. See how that was just wrapped around? Isn't that strange? So we've got our throttle rod off. It's just flopping around up there. Now we need to just take the choke rod out. So lift and turn, pop it out, and then we can take this with us, or we can leave it here. So you have your anti-surge spring connector. Pop that out of there. Just lift it out, and then you can lift carefully and pull. All right. and you can just leave that lay in the orientation that it goes in. You should know that the spring always goes to the throttle plate. If you've got a rod like this where the spring is crimped to it, others have the spring that's a full length of the rod, and one end connects to one end connects to the other. It just helps with the anti-surge, you know, the vroom vroom vroom. But we're going to pop this sucker apart over on the bench and get her cleaned off a little bit. Might throw her in the parts washer real quick and easy, and then we'll pop it apart and get it ready for the parts washer. Alright, got the carburetor off, cleaned it up a little bit. I just blew it off, I didn't put it in the parts washer. And just a little tip and trick that I don't practice myself, and I probably should, is with your ultrasonic heater or cleaner, just use plain water in it, and then get a plastic Tupperware container that will fit in your basket. Set your parts in it with the cleaning solution with the lid loosely on and start it up. That'll keep you from having to clean your ultrasonic cleaner. All you'll have is the Tupperware container with your cleaning solution in it and your dirty parts, and then you can dispose of your cleaning solution just out of that and not have to clean your parts washer out as often. Just a quick little tip that I personally should but don't practice. So yeah, there's that. All right, before you can take the float off, I've already got the needle out sitting here in the basket. You've got to pop this little jet out. Did you come loose? You didn't. Okay, hang on. Let's try it again. Well, it's not wanting to come loose. Give me just a second, guys. I need to use a totally different screwdriver. Okay, I'm just using my Husky that has a 1/4 inch driver on one side and 5/16 on the other, and I've already custom ground this bit for just such occasions like this. I made the end of the bit nice and thin, but plenty broad enough to usually cover the entire circumference or the entire diameter of the jet. So now hold pressure with my thumb, and there we go. That's what we want. We'll get it out. It and its crush washer, little tiny little aluminum crush washer there. Set that in the basket. Now we can pull our needle and float out. And the Viton tip looks okay on that. And this basket's heavy enough it will submerge the float to get it good and clean. And then what we've got left is just a couple of passages that we can take our air hose and gently blow out. Then we'll pull the gasket out here, and I'll gently try to get these two gaskets off without damaging them. The solution that I actually use, I'll show you the bottle. I have people ask all the time, what do I use? All right, it's like pea yellow, all right, but it is LA's Totally Awesome, and it's available everywhere, and this stuff is what it says it is. It's the only cleaner I use anymore. I used to use Purple Power and Mean Green and you know, all different kinds. Used to use all different kinds, and now that's all I use is Awesome in all of my cleaning and degreasing. I've actually got a pump up sprayer that I use. not my little can with the mineral spirits in it, but like a weed killer sprayer that I use the Awesome in when I'm cleaning engines and whatnot to spray them down with. But anyway, all right. I'm gonna blow the passages out of this. I suppose I can just go ahead and grab the air hose and do that right now. All right, this has a controllable blast, okay? So that means it's not just on and off. So I can make it just barely whisper. Hear that? I can control it down to just barely even whispering. And I don't want to blow these out full force. We've got some check valve or check balls and whatnot in here, and we don't want to disrupt the springs or cause any issues with those. So first thing we're going to do, I'm going to look up in there, and I'm pretty sure I can pop that main emulsion tube out there, but it's perfectly clear. So I'm just going to blow a little bit of air here, and then I'll backfeed the air here. I will cover this up and blow some air there for it to come out through the emulsion tube. And we have a couple of other ports that well, they're kind of hard to see. Let's see if I can get this in here. We have a port here, and then we have 1, 2, 3 more ports down here. All right, and those all need to be good and clear. So just a gentle little bit of passive blowing on those. But this one is a non-adjustable Nicky carburetor. Rather have the Mikuni or the Walbro, but it's a Courage. So if you happen to have a Mikuni or a Walbro, I highly recommend swapping them out. But in my case, or in the case of the owner, I don't have one, and he has not elected to go that route. So let's get this gasket out of there. That's just the little rubber O-ring gasket for the fuel bowl. I'll try to pry these off in just a minute. I'm not close enough to get my little scraper, but let's get things blown out just a little bit. Cover this hole, cover that hole, just a little bit of air, and we'll come over here. We'll blow back towards float, or through the float hole to the fuel line. Oh, did you see that just fly out of there? This thing had a hairball. That's funny. It had a hairball. Can you see that? Well, that might keep it from running very good, huh? I'll blow back in through this way, make sure we're still clear. All right, we're good. Now, those other spots here that I was talking about, just gentle, passive. I'm not plugging the hole, I'm just going past it using Venturi effect. It's good. Now we'll open it up and come back into these. Don't need any carb cleaner. For the most part, you just don't need, I don't need carb cleaner. I don't use carb. I'm trying to find a good way to say it without offending anybody. I don't use carb cleaner myself, but you can if you want to. I do have some here. There are times when I take it and just shoot stuff real quick, but in this case, no. So we'll finish getting that tore down, then we'll get back over to the engine. I'll borescope it. If there's anything to see, I'll pop the camera back on and let you see it. Alright gang, this is the best that I can do as far as getting a good clear shot of what's going on in here. But here's the piston, and it's at bottom dead center. And we can pan around and we can see rather poorly. I can see. Lord, that reflection is just going to be the death of us, isn't it? I'm trying. Give me just a second here. See if this is any better. I don't know if that's going to be any better or not. But our sidewalls look just fine. Everything looks good. I was able to pan around and see the whole thing. I know you guys can't see much, but everything looks okay. We're gonna get that carburetor clean, get it put back together, and see if it's gonna start behaving for us. If so, we'll button it back up and get this back to the owner while I order a pan gasket. I don't know how much longer this Courage is gonna live. It certainly got some days taken off of it being run without the blower housing though, so stay tuned. Alright, carburetor is out of the parts washer, and boy is it pretty and clean. I've already blown it off, got rid of all the cleaning solution, and I don't think I mentioned I use a 50-50 mix of that awesome, so that would be 1 quart awesome, 1 quart water would make a 50-50 mix, just as an example. Your results may vary. And this is a one-way float pin, so on these Nicky carbs, pay attention to that. One end has one end has a flat spot on it, so if you're fighting trying to get it in, that would be why. Just turn it around and put the other end in. So get that in, and then I'm going to go ahead and pinch it just a little bit, if this will go far enough, just to seat it so it won't move on us, just a hair. There we go. These things are just awesome. And I had somebody mention in a recent comment about these Nipex pliers wrenches that the gap is a little bit tighter at the end than it is back here, and that's by design. When you do close them and put pressure on them, that jaw has just the tiniest little bit of play in it. You can see it there, but the play works against or with the clamping force. So when you clamp, it is pulling the bottom side of it and pushing the bottom side up to even the jaws out. So just so you know. And this has the 5-inch pair has really narrow jaws, and I have found that they are just the bomb for putting the anti-backfire solenoids back on these things. So we've got that done. We got to put the jet back in. Let's get that up here. Get that started. Get in there. Thank you. Nope, not yet. Don't thank me yet, it says. There we go. Okay. I'll get it just about tight. And this is a reverse ratcheting, made by Husky, by the way. But Cobalt also makes them. I'm sure there's other companies that do too. And the 5/16 end is battery terminal size, just for an FYI. I'll get that a good snug against that aluminum crush washer. Get the gasket in there that did not go through the parts washer, so that it wouldn't stretch or expand. But like I said, I've not had any issues using the LA's Totally Awesome in water with gaskets and rubber O-rings. Not had any issues at all. So we'll set that in place, and doesn't matter where this is located on there. It doesn't have a divot for the float hinge or anything. But let's go ahead and I'm going to test the float and make sure that it's sealing. So with it like this, I should not be able to blow through, and I can't. And then with it like this, I should be able to. There we go. Now we can put that back on. And I did test the fuel solenoid as well. I'm going to hand tighten it, and then I'll come in, get these adjusted right. A little more. One more click. There we go. Now they just work a treat for fitting in there, because if I was to take a regular wrench, it's going to be too big. So now we're ready to take this thing back over, get it on the tractor. You saw how it came off. Or tractor. Will you listen to me? I said tractor. Shame on me. The mower. We'll get it stuck back on the mower, get everything buttoned back up, and we'll kick it over and see how we sound as far as running goes, and see if it's running better. So we'll see you over there. Alright, we got her all buttoned back up here, and just to show you guys, we are ice cold. Well, not ice cold, but we're going to see how this thing starts and runs. And just to let you know, the carburetor is going to have to prime, so we'll have to sit here and crank for a little bit. I'll go ahead and throw her on full choke. Make sure the choke works. Yep, choke works. And we'll hit the key. So that I'm sitting on it. The PTO is off. All right, we are set at choke. Let's see what we get. Ready? Contact. Noise alert. All I need to do is bring it down to me. And me thinks he might have a screwed up blade. That blade caught this when it broke off the deck. It caught it. So next up, I'm going to lift the front end up, pull the belts or pull the blades off. And we still have the steering to square away on it and a couple of other things. But this video here was about getting the Kohler that's now tucked up in underneath there just out of the way for now into this. But since we got this one to behave and we checked the cylinder bore and it looks alright and everything's good with it, we cleaned the carburetor, which was the only issue to begin with. We're going to call this one done. I'm going to take care of the other stuff off camera. As far as that goes, I'll have to get a hold of him and see if he wants me to weld that back on or just leave it off. So, alright, that's it. Friendly neighborhood Zippo. I hope you guys enjoyed this little run around with the Kohler Courage and us attempting to use the Kohler Command. That engine is earmarked for this tractor, so it's not going anywhere. That's the replacement engine for this tractor, mower. So I'll get the oil pan gasket and I'll have it sitting there, and in the event his neighbor gets a hold of this again and manages to completely blow it up, then we'll revisit this. But for now, we're gonna call it. We at least got her back together, got her running good. See you guys on the next one. Later. I'm out of here.